Welcome to Tuktuk Rental. I'm Tom, one of the creators. Today, I just want to set your expectations. First, you're going to be watching this video. It'll take about 20 minutes. Then we're going to do a driving lesson with you. That driving lesson can range from 30 minutes up to 2 hours, depending on your skills and depending on how comfortable you feel on the Sri Lankan roads. Following that, you'll come back. You'll have a chance to ask some final questions of some of our staff here, and then you'll do a final inspection of your vehicle, and that will take around 10 minutes. Good luck.
Hey, you're going to be driving a tuk-tuk. I hope you're excited. If you've never driven one of these before, don't worry. You're going to have a full lesson with one of our amazing driving instructors who will teach you everything you need to know. But before we do that, in this video, we're going to share some of the most important information to help get you more prepared for your trip. Are you ready? Let's go! TuktukRental.com was started in 2016 as a social business designed to empower locals and give back to the community. The company does not own these vehicles. Instead, local Sri Lankans own the tuk-tuks to help boost their income and support their families. Each vehicle has a thorough quality and safety check to make sure it's safe and reliable for you. Get right into it. This is a Bajaj 4-stroke tuk-tuk made in India. So, how the heck do you drive this thing? Well, first, you're going to need to turn it on. And by the way, everything I'm about to show you is going to be covered in your driving lesson, but just to get you a little bit more prepared, to turn it on, you're going to have to be in neutral gear. And you just turn the key, and it doesn't start. When you turn the key, the important part is you don't open the throttle all the way. You just pull it back little by little. And eventually, it might take a few tries to get it started, but if you pull it too much while you're starting it, you can flood the engine. We're good to go. All right, if your tuk-tuk has been sitting for a while, and like for example in the morning, it might sound something like this. If you're having trouble starting it, that's what the choke is for, right here. You open this. Opening the choke allows more oxygen to enter the engine when you're starting it. There we go. Just make sure that when you start driving, you push the choke in. Daily checks. There are 3 important things you need to do every day before you start driving your tuk-tuk. We're going to check the oil, the brake fluid, and the tires. First, and most importantly, the oil. You're going to open up the back by opening these 2, and right down in here, you see this green knob? That is the oil stick. So to check your oil, you take out the dipstick, you look at it, you see right here, it looks above high, but for good measure, we want to wipe it clean, put it back in, pull it back out, whoop, and yep, look at that. You see the L and the H? If it's dipping below the L, you're running low and you're going to want some more, but we are good right now. If you're running low on oil, this is the kind you need. It's called 20W50. You don't have to remember this. It's in your driver manual, but very important to check your oil. Make sure you're not running low. Next, we have the brake fluid. Just want to make sure we're not running low. So as you can see here, looks good. If you're running low, make sure you top up on brake fluid because your brakes might not work very well. And finally, check the tread, check the tires. Make sure they're still the same tires you had on yesterday. Make sure they're not flat. Looks good. Okay, very nice. One last tire, boom. Super quick, super easy. Just make sure they're good. And that's it. 3 very quick daily checks. Make sure you do that before you start driving every day. One thing we ask for you to do that is not typical of a rental agreement is to grease the tuk-tuk every 1,000 kilometers. There's a lot of sand, dirt, and dust on the roads, so as you drive around, these particles are getting up into the axles, and they can cause internal damage over time. So what do the locals do about it? They grease their tuk-tuk. So please look after your tuk-tuk like a prized possession, because that's exactly how these owners view it. Greasing a tuk-tuk is very common. Mechanics are familiar with it. It's easy for them to do, and it's very inexpensive. So please don't forget to grease your tuk-tuk every 1,000 kilometers. A tuk-tuk is not a Ferrari. It's made with cheap parts from India, typically used by working class and low-income families. So having small issues is just part of the vehicle's character. Also, the legal speed limit of a tuk-tuk is 40 kilometers per hour. Respect this limit and enjoy the ride. About 95% of people will never experience any issues with their tuk-tuk, but unexpected things may happen. So for the 5% of you out there, don't stress. It's all part of the adventure. And hey, again, it's not a Ferrari, so if something goes wrong, it's typically an easy fix. With over 1 million tuk-tuks around the island, almost every man and his dog knows how to service these things to some degree. And there are mechanics everywhere that are very easy to find if needed. If you are just here to drive from point A to point B, this is not your vehicle. Please cancel your booking and get a car. If you are here to experience Sri Lankan life and the journey between destinations, along with some ups and downs due to the nature of the vehicle, please continue with your booking. Another important thing to understand is we do not own these vehicles. The tuk-tuk you will be driving is owned by a local here in Sri Lanka, so please treat it like you are simply borrowing a local's vehicle, because you are.
For any problems you may have, you can always call the Tuktuk rental team and they'll be happy to assist you through any issues. And it's better to call. If you send a message, it might not be answered as quickly as just picking up the phone and giving them a call. The first common problem is sometimes things become disconnected and stop working. If your speedometer or fuel gauge stops working, it might have been caused by hitting a bump going too fast and one of the cables just came loose. It's a super easy fix. Don't stress. Any mechanic will be able to help you out with that. You can either just call Tuktuk Rental, they'll be able to guide you to a local mechanic, or you can use the attractions map provided by Tuktuk Rental to find the nearest recommended mechanic. Accelerating while shifting may cause the clutch cable to stretch. You'll know you've done this if you are driving uphill and, for example, you're in third gear and it just jumps to second on its own without you shifting. No need to worry, it's a super easy fix. Any mechanic can help you out. Another common problem, stopping in gear. Remember earlier when I said you have to be in neutral to start the tuk-tuk? If you stop and you're in any other gear but neutral, you will not be able to start it. Think about shifting gears in a tuk-tuk similar to a bicycle. On a bicycle, you can't shift gears unless you're in motion. Same kind of thing applies to a tuk-tuk. So, in the case that you stop in gear, the best way to shift into neutral if you're having trouble is to simply rock it back and forth like this, and then you'll be able to shift gears because you're moving a little bit. And the best way to prevent this is to just plan ahead. If you're slowing down and coming to a stop, just shift down and shift to a lower gear.
Some people think their brakes are not working, typically when they start driving after the tuk-tuk's been sitting for a while. Instead of just pressing it down, it helps to pump the brakes to send brake fluid into them so you can brake properly. So before you think your brakes are broken, they will probably work much better after you pump and pedal that fluid into them.
You thought you wouldn't have to see me again, but here I am. I'm here to talk to you about some serious stuff, so I want you to listen closely. I'm going to talk to you about what to do in an accident or incident. Now, we like to classify those as small accidents and large accidents, fairly arbitrary, but bear with me. A small accident is an accident where it's low speeds are involved, you've scratched someone else, they've scratched you, you maybe dented them a little bit, nobody's really hurt or injured, and the damages to the vehicle are quite minor. Now in Sri Lanka, and I know this happens in other countries as well, if it is a small accident and the costs involved are small, a lot of people in Sri Lanka, they actually settle that dispute on the spot. They will instead exchange money. So if you were at fault, you would have to give the other party some money. If they were at fault and they hit you, they would have to give you some money. And then everybody just continues on their way. You take that money they gave you, you get your vehicle repaired, and they get theirs repaired. The question is, how much money should you give to that other party, or how much money should you take for the damages that are on your vehicle? I'm guessing you don't really know. So that's where we come in. So please call us if you're in a small incident. We can help you negotiate. We can obviously speak the local language too, calm the situation if there is any situation there, and make sure that everything's being done according to the law. We will let you know how much it costs or how much money you should get and help you negotiate. So please take some photos as well, send those to us, and we'll do our best to help you on those small accidents where you won't call the insurance. That also means that obviously our insurance cover can't cover something that isn't claimed on insurance. If you did want to make an insurance claim, you would have to go to what we call a large accident or incident. So in a large accident or incident, there's a few things that need to happen. The first is obviously if you've been in a large accident or incident, please make sure everybody is okay, everybody is safe. You want to call your insurance, take some photos, call us as well. We'll guide you through. We can call the insurance and direct them to where you are. Okay, so we get the insurance company involved. The next people we need to get involved are the police. The police need to do a police report. So you shouldn't actually move the vehicle at all from that initial incident site. They move them off the road, obviously, so other cars can pass, so you can do that. But generally the vehicles need to stay where they were. The police come and they do an incident report. Now, if anybody was injured physically, so they cut their leg and are bleeding, it means that automatically this insurance claim has to go to courts. Insurance companies in Sri Lanka request that the court case is also filed and the results of that court case are given before insurance claim is processed. It's quite a prolonged process to go through a large incident. If you do end up in a court case, we actually end up representing you there, trying to still get you to continue your travels and get you out of the country. You actually have to be in a court case even if you weren't at fault. So it's kind of ridiculous. And therefore, we try to represent you there and say, look, we write letters and request certain things, and then you can continue on your trip, go home. And then we actually even have to take those parts that were replaced and we have to give them physically. We deliver those parts to the insurance company. After the parts have been delivered to the insurance company and the repair is made, they will pay us the insurance claim. So you can see it's quite a convoluted process. What does our insurance cover? Our insurance covers you, the people in your vehicle. It covers third party. It covers obviously vehicle damages. What it doesn't cover is, for example, flying you home in the case of an emergency situation where you might want hospital care at home instead of in Sri Lanka. That's why we always request that you get your own insurance as well, so it can cover kind of medical costs of getting you out of Sri Lanka. Obviously, a Sri Lankan insurance agency is only going to cover those costs that are in Sri Lanka at normal hospitals here instead of having to fly you overseas. The other thing that we struggle to get them to cover is like personal item loss. So sometimes if you're in a minor incident or a major incident, your phone might break. If your phone breaks, unfortunately, our insurance doesn't cover that. So I hope that that's covered on your normal travel insurance. All right, let's talk about damages to your vehicle. This is a common problem and issue that people come up and ask us about. Hey, why are there damages on my vehicle? I'm not talking about internal damages. I'm talking about superficial damages, aesthetic damages. Oh, it doesn't look as pretty as it could. So let's take this vehicle, for example. You can see this canopy on the top. It runs kind of around the outside and the top. It's got some patches on it. Why does it have patches on it? Because somebody on the road before you has scratched it, or a tree has scratched it, a monkey scratched it. And instead of replacing the whole thing, we've simply patched it. If we didn't patch it and we instead replace the whole thing, let's assume the person who rented the vehicle before you scratches it and it comes back and we say, look, sorry, we're going to have to replace this whole canopy. That's going to cost you $25,000. So if you could imagine being in that situation where you're the one who has scratched the canopy and then you bring the vehicle back and you have to pay $25,000 to fully replace the canopy, I imagine you wouldn't feel too good about it. So that's why these patches are here. These patches are designed to save you money. So with every bit of damage, we essentially take a little bit of money from those damages, and then at the end of the day, we replace the full canopy. The next thing that commonly might have a scratch or a dent on it is this mudguard here. This mudguard itself is quite inexpensive to fully replace. That would cost 4,000 rupees to fully replace this mudguard. However, we still don't even charge you that because this is such a common thing to damage on both sides of your vehicle. So if we don't have to replace it, we don't always replace it, and we just take a little bit of money off you. This one's been dented, we can push that back out. That'll cost us a little bit of money to do. However, we're not ready for a full replacement yet. We could fully replace it every scratch or dent again, but you would have to pay more. The customer would have to pay more if we did that. It's not about us doing more work or less work, that doesn't matter. It's about you paying less. So I hope you can understand that your vehicle might have some superficial scratches or dents on it. I hope you can now understand that that policy is actually designed to save you money rather than trying to give you something that doesn't work as it should.
Fueling up. This is something you're going to have to do quite a bit, so let's talk about it. Here we are at a fuel station right now, so you can actually see the exact process of what it's like. To access your fuel tank, it's on the right side. You need your key to open it. There we go. Pop open that cap. The fuel station attendants are very helpful. They know the drill. Just pull up. If there's a line, you wait in line. They'll guide you through. They'll tell you what to do. Typically, you just ask for a full tank. If you want less, you can say a specific amount. You just say full tank. And there we go. We fill just like this. And they handle it for you. They'll do the pumping and they'll smile while they do it. Comedy. You're gonna want to get petrol 92. In these tuks, you have 2 tanks. You have the main tank and you also have a reserve tank. The reserve tank's there just for emergencies. If you happen to run out of fuel, it's right here if you need to access it. To open the reserve tank, you simply twist this upside down and there you go. After you fuel up, make sure to turn that back off. You get, on average, depending how you drive, about 25 kilometers to the liter. And the reserve tank has about 1.5 liters. So it's just for emergency. Driving a tuk-tuk around is like experiencing the island in slow motion. And you'll notice a lot of locals operate on island time. Things tend to go a little slower and take a little longer. And that's not just with driving, but everything. They might say your food's ready in 5 minutes and it takes 40. Just take it easy and enjoy the journey. Although not everything moves slow here, especially the buses. On the road in Sri Lanka, size matters. Basically, the bigger the vehicle, the more priority they have. Buses tend to drive the fastest, so just be aware of that and give them some space to pass and you'll be fine. As you begin to drive around here, you'll notice there's a certain flow to the road. Faster drivers frequently overtake slower vehicles, and that's normal. Driving here is probably different than what you're used to in your home country, and from the outside, it may look chaotic, but there sure is a flow to it, and you'll get used to it very quickly. We recommend not driving at night for a few reasons. 1, the headlights on a tuk-tuk are not the greatest. 2, trucks and buses travel faster at night due to lower traffic. 3, trucks and buses usually have their high beams on, which reduces your visibility. And 4, there are more drunk drivers at night. If you need to drive at night or are just driving to a local restaurant, that's fine. However, we recommend not driving long distances at night due to the risks. Okay, roadside security. If you're driving with all of your belongings in your tuk, one thing that helps is if you roll down your flaps, put them up like this. This helps prevent people from seeing what's inside your tuk. Another thing you can do is pull up to a local shop like this, buy something from them, and ask the shop owner to just watch out for your tuk. They'll be happy to do so. Wild animals. Let's talk about it. It is very important to respect the wild flora and fauna in this country. On the road, you will see dogs, cows, monkeys, and maybe even elephants. Though it is very exciting to see a wild elephant, there are some very important things to know. Number 1, do not feed them. It is strictly forbidden to feed wild elephants. 2, do not stop. If you stop, this could put you in some dangerous situations, so just stay in motion. The reason it's important not to stop is because elephants are known to reach inside a tuk-tuk looking for food, and these things are as light as a feather to them, so they can easily flip them over, damage the vehicle. You don't want that to happen, so to avoid that, keep a safe distance, do not stop, and definitely do not get out of your vehicle if you're near a wild elephant on the road. Throughout your journey, you're most likely going to have some interactions with police officers, but no need to worry. When this happens, I suggest you just smile and be friendly with them. Tuk-tuk rental will provide you with a Sri Lankan driving permit, so you are legally allowed to drive in this country. So if they ask you to see a driving license, you can show them this. But normally, they're just curious and will ask you a couple questions like, where are you from and where are you going? And then just let you continue on your way. If you did happen to violate a traffic law and police are giving you a hard time, the proper way to deal with this is to have them write you a ticket and then you go to the nearest post office and pay the fine. This is not common and it's probably not going to happen to you. But if a police officer is ever asking you for money, just insist that they write you a ticket. And never give money to a police officer. If you ever find yourself in an uncomfortable situation, you should know what to do by now. Just pick up the phone and call the Tuktuk rental team and they'll be happy to help you. Helpful things before you hit the road. Attractions map. With over 1,000 locations around Sri Lanka, rated on a scale of 1 to 5 stars, this is super helpful to plan your trip. And 3, toll roads. Right now, take out your phone, open your Maps app, and turn off toll roads. There are 2 toll roads in Sri Lanka, and right now, tuk-tuks are not allowed. And one extra tip, we recommend you get a local SIM card. You can buy one in the airport when you arrive, or if you're already here, you could ask your drive training instructor to help you during your drive training. And personally, I recommend Dialogue. It has great service all over the country. If you plan to take the train from Kandy, Nuwara or Ella in either directions, we'll be happy to transfer your tuk-tuk for you. There will be a fee involved, and just make sure to confirm at least 2 days before the date of your train.
But there are roads that you can drive on through the same region with almost the same views. If you want to extend your reservation or drop off at a different point, you can update this information by filling out a quick form which is sent to your email, or give the Tuktuk rental team a call at least 2 days prior to any changes.
And one last thing, the most important part about driving a tuk-tuk in Sri Lanka is to have fun. Now get ready to hit the road and experience this country in the best way possible. And if you share anything on social media, be sure to tag Tuktuk Rental so we can see all your exciting adventures. Let's have some fun! Woo!